Now, if you're somebody who's thinking about an MBA in India, then ISB is certainly a name that's on your mind. Now, with IIMs and the CAT and the associated complications, and also the fact that ISB takes in a holistic application to take you to an institution which has a tremendous reputation and outstanding career opportunities both in the short term and the long term. Considering all these factors, ISB really does put up a compelling case. But what does it take for someone to make it to this program? Watch the rest of this video as I break down the factors that should make you a strong candidate for ISB. Alright, number one is a very important hard metric that is incredibly important for ISB, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And that is your GMAT score. In the past, with a whole bunch of accepted students, we've seen that a GMAT score of upwards of a 710 closer to a 720 is necessary for you to be in the conversation in the admissions committee's minds. In recent years, the median GMAT score has been around the 720 mark. And of course, if you want to substitute that with the GRE, that's absolutely fine. And you need to be at a 325 plus to have a solid shot, because the median score has been around a 328. So these are the two hard numbers that you need to keep in your mind: 720 on the GMAT and 328 on the GRE. Now, of course, if you're about 5 or 10% here and there, maybe the rest of your profile can compensate. But if you're way off these median scores, with ISB at least, it's going to be a challenge making it to this program. Right, number two brings us to the second most important part of the profile, which is your work experience. Within work experience, let me break it down into two parts. Number one is the quantum or the quantity, and number two is the quality. Now, in terms of quantum, let me tell you something that might sort of surprise you. You can apply to ISB with any level of work experience, even if you don't have any work experience. Let me explain how. Now, for the regular intake for ISB, you need about 24 months or 2 years of work experience to be considered. Now, if you're beyond that, I know people with 10, 15 years or even 20 years of experience who made it to ISB, but usually upwards of 2 years to around 5 years is the sweet spot. ISB takes the maximum number of candidates for its regular entry, for which the eligibility is 24 months plus. Now, what if you're somebody with less than 24 months of work experience? Maybe you're somebody with about 6 months or just started off at the job. ISB offers the early entry option. So you can still apply, you can still go through the process, you can still interview, you can still get in, but you start your program after you complete your 2 years of work experience. For the early entry option, if you're working at a brand name company or you're showing potential for an accelerated career trajectory or growth, you are in a good spot to convince ISB that you'll be ready for the program by the time you start. Now, for those of you in your third or fourth years of college itself and you're going to be a fresher, you can still apply for ISB through the Young Leaders program. This process is slightly different from the regular intake and the early entry program because you have an additional round. You apply during your third or fourth year of education. And in this case, your academic profile and your body of work in college in terms of your leadership, volunteering, and diversity matters a lot. Similar to the early entry option, with the ISB Young Leaders program as well, you get accepted while you're in college as well, but you start college after you finish your 2 years of work experience. So now that the quantum is covered, let me talk about the quality of work experience. And this is more for the regular intake. Now keep in mind that the selectivity rate is in your favor for the regular intake because ISB takes maximum of its 850 to 900 candidates in the usual intake, not the early entry or the Young Leaders program. So your odds of getting in are higher if you're applying like a traditional ISB MBA applicant. Now, I've seen a variety of work profiles make it. Of course, if you're working at a brand name company like your Microsoft, Google's, Goldman Sachs of the world or an Ernst & Young, then these candidates have a very good shot because the admissions committee would assume that if you crack that recruitment process, you must be inherently bright. That's just human psychology, so you already have a shot. Apart from that, I've seen plenty of people who are working at much younger early stage startups and even social impact organizations make it to ISB. So they accept a very diverse set of profiles, and the quality of your work matters more than the brand name in a lot of cases. In fact, I've known a couple of people who worked at Gradvine also make it to the ISB PGP program. Also, quality is subjective. If you're able to convey the impact of your work effectively enough in your application, then you might be called to interview and you then need to back up what's been written in the application while speaking to the admissions committee. If you need help with this entire process, you can always reach out to us at Gradvine by scheduling a free consultation using the link in our description. Number 3 is your academic profile, and I put it at number 3 because reliability in terms of accepted candidates, high GMAT scores and quality work experience has always taken precedence over the brand name of the undergraduate institution or the undergraduate GPA as such. Now, I've seen people with lower GPAs make it as well, but people with lower GMAT scores don't make it as often. So that's where the precedence order in terms of what I'm covering. Now, how does the undergraduate institution play in? It depends on how all of the other factors interact with each other, right? So for example, if you have a slightly lower GMAT score, then if you have more work experience and higher quality work experience, it can compensate. Similarly, if you have work experience that's not as great, but if you graduated from a brand name undergraduate institution, then that might take you through. So you cannot look at these factors separately. They all come together to build a story. And of course, your essays and your recommendation letters play a huge part in it. Now, with that being said, we come to point number 4, which not a lot of people cover or not a lot of people are aware of. And that is the demographic aspect of it. Now, even with ISB, like most MBA programs, if you're an Indian male engineer, then you're at a disadvantage because the ISB PGP class also aims to have diversity in the cohort that is coming in. Therefore, they want people from a variety of academic backgrounds, they want people from a variety of work experiences, they want also gender equality in the program. So, if you are a female applicant in general, there is a higher likelihood you may get accepted as opposed to a male with the very same profile. Again, this is not me being politically incorrect, this is just data that is speaking. Also, if you're a non-engineer, it's a significant advantage. I've known people who are lawyers make it far more easily, even though their GMAT scores were lower, despite GMAT being such an important metric. If you are from an undergraduate institution outside of India, that's a significant advantage as well. Typically, what I've seen is, in terms of the quality of the work experience or the GMAT score, you cannot have an absolute number, because even though they won't tell us, there are internal criteria for Indian male engineers versus other quotas in terms of the expected GMAT score and the expected work experience and factors like that. Therefore, if you come from a slightly non-typical demographic, you're always at an advantage with ISB. So those were my most important factors, or in general the most accepted important factors for making it to ISB. Your GMAT, your work experience, the quantum of it and quality of it, your undergraduate institution and academic profile, and of course a very important part, which is the demographic. Now you can figure out whether you tick some or all of these boxes. Even if one of these boxes is missing, you can still make it to the program. Just go for it. So now that I've covered some of the important metrics on the basis of which ISB evaluates its applicants, you can self-evaluate whether you stand a good shot. Don't worry if one or two of these elements are missing. You can still make it to the ISB PGP. So keep hoping for the best and apply strong.